Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. It is Follow the Money. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard with you live on Memorial Day Monday. Hope everybody is having a terrific and safe and in this world, lucrative betting weekend as well. Busy hour coming up. Dennis Bernstein on the program talking NHL in 30 minutes. Do you concur in 45? And here, Mr. Las Vegas advisor, Anthony Curtis, joins us in studio, LasVegasAdvisor.com. Good to see you again, AC. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a holiday, right?
You got it?
I'm kicking back. I'm hanging with you guys.
So we're going to promote your new book called Advantage Players coming up.
Brand new.
And I asked you about this off the air. I'm like, level of excitement for this book compared to other previous books that you've worked on. You're like very, very high.
Yeah.
That's coming up. I wanted to ask you about, though, the level of interest that you heard about right away after last Thursday. Last Thursday is the day that Derek Stevens, Mike Palm, Jeff Benson from here at Circuit came on and announced their football contest plans for the season, one of which was a brand new $100,000 contest called Grandissimo, and it's a survivor entry. You have played with Frank B., who's one of the best ever to do this in contests and a pro sports bettor, so you know him, you know a bunch of people who run in these circles, right? What was the reaction that you heard from other, people who are really, really sharp in this industry?
Well, I mean, people weren't jumping out of their shoes or anything, but it was like, wow, there they go again. $21 million. Is that what it is? $21.5 million or something they're guaranteed totally. It's interesting, this $100,000 one. I don't know what level of participation from my group that you're going to have in that, but I think you're going to see a lot of people pooling money. I think you're going to see a lot of people getting together. You're going to see like some super teams. Getting together going, okay, I'm 10, I'm 5, I'm 2, I'm 1, that kind of thing. With a lot of, the number of, I think they're going to make the 15, that they need for it not to be an overlay. I said between 20 and 25. Another friend of mine thinks 40. I'll take the under on 40.
Ooh.
Wow. But it's gonna be exciting. And I think everyone is as excited about the normal survivor with the higher guarantee on that one now, up to $15 million.
Yeah.
Derek is he's a wild man. He's just a wild man. And he's got a death grip on football contests, and he ain't gonna let go.
How big of a factor will ego be, or the showing off factor, you think?
Not as much as you would think.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, because it's going to be, showing off to say I entered it. Yes. Yes, that'll be a big deal. Yeah, I got $100K to blow. I made it on our podcast, on the LVA podcast. I said, well, I'm not sure about that second, because you can do twice. I'm not sure about if I'll do the second one. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna put 100,000 up. But some people that will be the big deal. To win it, not that big a deal, because what are you going to beat? 20 people. You know what I mean? It's like, I think a lot more cachet to win the normal one and destroy 15,000 people.
Well, I asked Pauly the next day, I said more, quote, sharp money in this big contest or FU/ego money involved?
Ooh, that's a great question, man. And I'll bet you it's relatively close. But like I say, if you take these composite groups, if you take all the guys that are going to be playing together on one, there's going to be some real good teams in there, and then there's going to be a couple of guys just like the World Series of Poker,
right?
Or those big giant, one drop for whatever that thing was called.
That's
where
right.
They've got all these guys coming in, throw in 100,000, $250,000 because they can, and they're not necessarily the greatest poker players in the world. And that's why there's not that much cachet to win those.
I think a guy like Charles Barkley would be perfect for this contest.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world for him to sign up.
Well, it'd be smart for him to do it and then hire somebody to help him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because no offense to him, but his picking don't seem to be so good.
How would you like to book his action?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so if you think it's going to be, a bunch of people getting in, here's 10K, here's 15, whatever it is, and let's say 8 people are in one entry together, who's going to have the say? Is that going to have to be agreed? It's going to have to be agreed upon before all the money gets split up.
Yeah, it'll be a roundtable thing. They'll put together a weekly call. They'll all get on it, and it's amazing. There's a lot of those things going on right now. They used to call it the Tuesday group. Mm-hmm. Everybody would get together on Tuesdays and talk to one another and give their ideas, and then they'd go their own way. But there was, not a lot of arguing there. There was some both sides. I don't know, whatever. They get along. These guys, it's all about money. They get along. There was the Wall Street Journal ran a story not long ago about a guy who cornered the Texas lottery. And I happen to know this guy. His name's Jelko out of Australia.
No way.
Yeah. And
I saw this article.
Yeah. She asked if he was cheating. I said, he doesn't need to cheat. I go, he understands the EV. He understood the overlay, and he looked at the rules. He played by the rules. And I said, he didn't cheat. And that's what he's all about. He's about EV. And that's what these guys are about in the football contest.
Did they pay him? They were calling him a cheater.
They paid him, but now they're trying to get the money back, just like they did with Ivy. Right, same thing. Now they did pay him. Now they're trying to indict him and get the money back.
Well, explain what the guy did and how much money he won.
Well, they put in, they didn't play all the numbers because they said, well, he played every number, and that's cheating. Why is that cheating? It's not cheating.
No.
You know, I mean, if you can do that, there's nothing that says you can't do that. Mm-hmm. But they didn't play all the numbers. They didn't play the numbers that most people will play, like birthdays, 7, these kinds of things. But they played maybe 95% of those numbers, and they put in $38 million, and they won $93 million. My man.
They put in $38 million across the board in that
They got
group.
it in, and that's what they're all mad about. They're trying to hook them up on something almost like messenger betting. They call it courier betting, which supposedly they're not supposed to do, but there was no law against it in Texas. Now they're trying to put something against it.
You are the man, AC, no doubt. So you just mentioned...
No, I didn't do it.
You just mentioned Ivy, and this is in the book, Advantage Players, a new book, Michael Kaplan. And go to Las Vegas Advisor, by the way, and get all the books that are up there. But this is one that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's selling big on Amazon right now.
I bet.
Beautiful.
And we haven't even started the PR on this. You guys are one of the first ones that I'm actually showing it and actually brought it in.
The Ivy thing is absurd. He negotiates with the casinos. I want a dealer to speak, I think it was Mandarin. I want these type of cards. And they go, okay, sure, no problem. And then he wins, and they don't pay him.
Yeah, that whole story is in here. That's one of them where he dealt with Kelly's son. Kelly was the girl who could read the back of the card, something they call edge sorting, or they used to call playing the turn a long time ago. Blackjack players used to call it. And these were miscut cards, and they were able to have them arranged. So when the key cards, the 9 and the 8, come out, they'd have them turn them a certain way, and they'd go back in the shoe, and they would see it before it came out of the show, and know they're going to start with a 9 or an 8, which is a huge edge. And they were betting. They beat them for millions, over 10 million, got paid, and then it went to the courts, and they made them give the money back. But they call the girl the Baccarat machine.
Yeah.
And there's actually a movie in development right now called the Baccarat Machine with Awkwafina playing her part.
You're kidding.
No, it's true.
Oh, that's a home run.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a picture
She'll
of
kill that part too, by the way.
The story's incredible.
Yeah,
her dad was worth a ton of money, and then I think she was accused of something, and they threw her in jail, and she was in jail for like 2 weeks, and no one could get a hold of the family, and she goes, I'm going to get you back.
Yeah, she got mad.
Yeah.
And she figured it out, and she worked with another guy who's also in the book, a guy named Eddie Teams. It's the first story. I think it's called From the Car Lot to the Blackjack Table to the Kingdom or something. I forget what it's called.
Oh, gosh.
But I mean, they all kind of crossed. And there's a good photo in the book of Ivy, Kelly's son, and Awkwafina all together.
Oh, very cool.
It's cool, yeah.
By the way, how the hell do you spread out $38 million across like Texas? You go to one gas station. All right, we got the duffel bag. Here we go.
They went to a whole bunch of different places and they actually had them. Now, this story is not in the book, but you can look it up in the Wall Street Journal. And they had them bring in the lottery machines into like one room, and they did it in 3 or 4 different places, and they brought the lottery machines in. They just kept feeding them through the machines. They paid these guys to feed them, and they were computer generating these combinations and numbers, that sort of thing. Oh, it's fabulous what these people do, and that story is not in there, but stories just like that are in this book. Because it just happened, so we didn't get it.
Right, it's not just sports betting, obviously.
Yeah. No.
It's like from all walks of life or walks of life that you would never consider. That's an advantage player? Really? Okay, that makes sense to me.
Well, we've got a bunch of things in there called sneak attacks. And the sneak attacks aren't whole chapters. They're like 2 or 3 pages sort of things. And one of them is Ernie Moody, who made Triple Play Video Poker and Ultimate X. He's the guy who developed all of those. Another one is the Ramones. Because the Ramones, as a band, did something that was AP-like in order to rise through the punk leagues. Another one's about a guy who cuts locks. And I don't mean L-O-C-K-S, I mean L-O-X. L-O-X, he cuts fish. And now he's like at the top of Sardelles. So there's all these different things. 2 or 3 stories about the sex industry. One called the Phone Freaks, these blind guys in Israel who hacked into phones because they could hear the dial tones. It's unbelievable, man. Yeah, some good ones.
What's the one about art?
Art Brut, it's called, and it's the guy who basically turned. There's one about art. There's one about the movie industry. About these guys, they were disruptors. They came out of nowhere, and they turned those industries around by using disruptive AP techniques. So that's the theme that goes through the whole book. Michael Kaplan did an unbelievable job. He's a writer for Cigar Aficionado, the New York Post, Esquire, Men's Health, all these different things. Did a great job. We brought them all together, but it's not a column compilation. We kept the whole idea running through it.
And people can get the book where? Go ahead.
Well, LasVegasAdvisor.com, of course. Amazon, it's selling big on Amazon right now. Hopefully it'll be in bookstores soon, but nobody goes to bookstores anymore, so I don't really care that much.
Yeah. My wife used to have a friend, this is no joke, who when you would hit the number on a cell phone when you're calling somebody and it would beep or whatever, the tone would be different. She got to the point where she knew exactly what numbers you were dialing in, and she would be able to do that to get into people's phones.
Yeah, well, these guys were excellent because they were blind. So that sense was heightened. But not only that, I mean, they were fabulous computer hackers. Think back to when the MGM was I made this point. This book was just coming out when I was on 60 Minutes for a minute, when the MGM got hacked. And what did make it through onto air, as they said, how did they do it? And I said they were better at hacking than MGM was at defending a hack. And that's what these guys are all about and the things that they did. That's what the advantage player is. He's better than the casino, and that's what it turns out.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll continue with Mr. Las Vegas advisor Anthony Curtis. Again, the book is available at the website, LasVegasAdvisor.com. More with AC next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue here with Las Vegas advisor himself, Anthony Curtis, in studio. New book is called Advantage Players. So the World Series of Poker is starting up as well. Survivor has Survivor has kind of overtaken that, has it not? I mean, they're going to get more than, I think they're going to get 20,000 people in it this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at that, but I mean, you're talking about the main event. I mean, for all of the events, no. I mean, there are so many more players in the World Series of Poker altogether because it runs for a month and a half. But if you're talking about the main event, yeah, the number of entries to Survivor, but Survivor's only,
1,000 compared to
1,000,
10. Yeah.
But it can be up to 10,000, so you can get 10. But you certainly didn't get that many people buying. So World Series of Poker is still king.
What do you make of the Westgate's contest, by the way? They're going to do a college football contest this year, and now they have a $5,000 Survivor contest. How do you think that's going to do?
I think they're just going to have a hard time getting back to where they want to get. I mean, they were the big dogs, and they got knocked off the pedestal, and they're doing, instead of just standing pat, they know they're never going to catch up the way they're doing it. So they made some interesting and good changes, and I think it will be good for them. And as as long as the word gets out in the promo and everything else, people are going to keep. There's going to be more every year. I think they made good moves.
A prominent person in town called me in December once and had an idea about, hey, let's do this, and you do the same thing as well. And you just talked to Vegas Matt. People, for whatever reason, can't get enough of jackpots or people playing and seeing what a big jackpot. The views are incredible. Well, I can send them in to you, or I can watch something on YouTube, on Instagram. Can you tell us about what you have going on your YouTube stream, and also who you just talked to?
Yeah, well, first of all, we had, we have the Las Vegas Advisor YouTube show once a week, and it runs at different times during the week, except Beer Friday. We do Beer Friday on the third Friday of every week, and we drink beer while we're doing it, and we get drunk. We get drunk and talk gambling, and it's kind of fun. But the other times we do different formats, and one of them we call it Jackpot Show. And the reason we did this is we had Vegas Matt. If you guys have heard of Vegas Matt, he's the top influencer. You've heard of, these others that are all around, Raja and a big jackpot, and Brian Christopher and all these different people. Well, Vegas Matt has gone past all of them. We had him on our show. So typically we get anywhere from 7,000 to maybe 18,000 views. We had Vegas Matt on, we got 140,000 views. It's just absolutely nuts how popular these people are.
He gets 1 million views on every Instagram
when he
post.
He works like a dog. I'm telling you, they put up a show every day, and they go out and play like crazy. And they play their money. They lose money, but they make. He said he lost $360,000 last year playing these big jackpots.
Oh my! Wow!
But he made it up in who knows how many times off of all his platform money, merchandise, and things like that. So I don't want to do that. I don't like that. I don't get it. But we did start something called the Jackpot Show on our Las Vegas Advisor, where we tell people, send us your jackpots. So every week, once a month, we show 10 to 15 jackpots from the people. We name them if they want to be named. And then there's usually a lesson. Like, here's how this game is played. Here's why it was good that you did this. This video poker, this schedule wasn't that good, but you still hit. You cannot believe the incredible jackpots that people send in. And they're real. You can see them. Sometimes they're on film, and sometimes they're just a picture. But they're hitting them in sequence. They're hitting them on the draw. They're hitting it's like, how does these jackpots happen? So many of them. It's just incredible to see. But it's a good show if people want to tune in.
By the way, Vegas Matt, definition of advantage player, right? Good for him to figure this out. I mean, he's taking off like wildfire, and it's an awesome idea.
He's in the book. We held up the book for 1 month because after Matt was on our show, I asked him, I said, will you sit for an interview and we'll put a chapter in about you? And he did.
Oh, wow.
And we've got a new chapter. It's called The Man Who Wins by Losing.
Great job.
That's a great title.
Good job.
By the way, so Pauly showed this jackpot last week. Somebody sent it in. They held a deuce. Were they playing triple-double?
Yes.
Playing triple-double, held the deuce, that's it. Bam, it popped.
We get them like that all the time. And it's so, you know what's great about it? First of all, it's fun. All these people are going, this is going to be boring. I just go, no, it's not. I don't think it's going to be boring. And now they're all going, I really like this. I like to see this, right? But what's really cool is when you put the people in there and you give them their name, like maybe we'll just go Pauly H, right? Or something like that. We won't say your whole name so people don't, whatever. Mitch M, that sort of thing. Right. But then we hear from them, and they're like, oh, my God, thank you. Oh, my God. You put my mother's jackpot up. She's been coming to Vegas for 10 years from Hawaii. And, So it's a good show. I like it.
Steve Sear did that in his book, Whale Hunt in the Desert. He would only call people, he would never call them by their last name.
Oh, yes.
It was only first name and then last initial. That was it.
Oh, yeah. You're Mr. M. That's it. You're Mr. M. You're Mr. H.
Well
you're never going to be anything else with him.
You've been here a long time, and I don't know how it was, 10 years old, whatever it is, EDC coming to town now every single year.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? I got a hold of a bill, the last one. So let's walk we got $277,000. So there you got the autograph. There's the service charge, 20%. Then you got an admin fee for 9%. Then the tax, $35,000. So it was So you see, you got Ace of Spades, $100,000. I love the bucket of Red Bull. What is it, 75 for just a bucket? Look at the water again. What they get you for the water? But there's your big boy, with the taxes included. 323. Does it say, Mitch?
Yeah, almost 324,000.
You got the auto grant. You got the 9%. You got the other taxes.
So after taxes and fees, it's basically $100,000 more than the actual subtotal.
Right.
A little bit shy of that. About what is it? 92,000.
This is hard to get your head around. I mean, are you serious?
Yeah. Oh yes.
I mean,
look on your face.
Vital Vegas tweeted out the menu of what the stuff is. It was a bottle of a 6-pack of Bud Light is like
$140.
$140.
What idiot would do that?
Well, they get 180,000 people every night.
What idiots would do that? Wow. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of stuff, but
is that the tops?
I've never quite seen anything like that. I mean, I've seen some checks from the big clubs. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, okay, so again, the tax is $25,000, like Pauly talked about. Okay, then you get the administration fee for 9%. That gives you the $277,000 total. But then hold on a second, there's the automatic gratuity for 20% that comes in over the top. Then
I want to go work there.
Yeah, no kidding. You don't have to do anything.
That's better than selling books.
Yeah, I'll give you another advantage player.
Whack up 46,000.
The first year it ever came here, there was a guy I heard about who was playing blackjack early in the morning on the strip, and he just was absolutely loaded with cash. He was one of the first guys to get in there at EDC and sell water, and he just made a mint. And I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but that was like when it came here 15 years ago. I cornered it at the time. Can you imagine just what do you do for a living? I thought about selling water at EDC for 5 days out of the year, and I make $3 million, whatever
That's
it would be.
Man. That's it. The ultimate side hustle. Holy mackerel! Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
You. Send that to me. I got to put that in the newsletter. That's amazing.
All right. How prevalent is 000 roulette?
000 roulette. I remember when 000 roulette first showed up at the Venetian, right? And it was it was like 0, 00, and Sands, right? So that worked as a third zero, and we're like, no, who would ever do this? Now it's everywhere. You go into a place, there could be a 00 here and a 000 here, and there's 4 players here and 4 players here, and the same the same minimums and maximums. It's just crazy. So I'm driving the other day, and I see an ad by Tuscany, and it says, "We deal 00 roulette." Like, that's a big deal. Like, that used to be like the big square game for 5.26% casino edge. Now they're bragging on it that they don't deal the 7.69% game on 000. It used to be we have single zero, and there's actually a few of those around.
I was going to say, does anybody even still have single zero?
Yeah, I mean, at risk of alienating your sponsor here, right across the street at the Plaza, they do single zero for only $15, where other single zeros around Vegas are like usually $25 and $50 minimums. So you can find them in some of the high limit rooms and stuff, but not often. But there's so much, it's becoming so prevalent, the 000, that Tuscany actually took out a billboard to say we have 00. I was shocked. I shocked again, not as shocked as I was to see that EDC thing.
Thanks for coming on a holiday. Promote the site, promote the coupon book, and this great book here with Advantage Players with Michael Kaplan. Take it away. Where can we get everything?
Go to LasVegasAdvisor.com. I mean, if you want to get in on our member rewards book, totally cool for $50, or just buy this book at Amazon.
Very good. Those are the spots. Okay. Yep. We're down to 11 buffets in Las Vegas?
Down to 11.
Who closed?
Luxor closed, and Westgate just closed.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Out of nowhere, the Westgate, nobody saw that one coming. So we're down to 11. Almost all of them are like the high-end ones, like Bellagio. The most expensive of all is Bacchanal at Caesar's Palace. Those kind of things. The only real bargain ones, South Point. They're reasonably priced. Palms, I think, is the best. Our coupon book, we got a BOGO for Palms, 2 for 1. So you can get that lobster buffet, $80 lobster buffet for $40.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you use that coupon for us, that's another one that works.
Quickly here, in like 20 seconds, do you remember like peak prime Vegas for buffets? How many do we have across the
40
city?
40-something.
40 plus?
Yeah, there were 40-some buffets here. We're down to 11. Few places around the country, Atlantic City just put one in the Golden Nugget. A few places are starting to bring them back. We'll see.
Very good. LasVegasAdvisor.com is the website. Awesome appearance as always. Thank you. Good luck with the book. Can't wait to read it. Advantage Players is the name.
Well, thank you.
There you go. Anthony Curtis with us here on a Monday. Dennis Bernstein on the program coming up next. Talk some NHL. Does Skinner actually have any shot to win the Conn Smythe?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll hit hockey here. We do get Game 4 tonight, Carolina and Florida. The great Dennis Bernstein joins the program now, fourthperiod.com, also SiriusXM NHL coverage as well, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Dennis, hoping you're having a great holiday weekend. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mitch and Pauly. Great to be back on Follow the Money, and it's looking like a rematch, boys. So we'll see what happens tonight in Carolina, and certainly with respect to the Stars and Oilers as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, with this game that we have going on tonight in the series, wow. I mean, Carolina's a good hockey team. They do not look like a good hockey team here against Florida. In your opinion, why has it been so lopsided?
It's, in boxing, styles make fights. Their style isn't meant for Carolina. They're too tough. They're too big. They're too physical. That's the problem. And you see when they played lesser teams like New Jersey and the Capitals that weren't as physical, weren't as experienced, they got through. This is a very different Florida Panthers team. Guys, we're looking at 3 consecutive trips to a Cup final, which is so hard to do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's it, Mitch. I think that the problem is that maybe another team, Carolina might be in the series, but for this one, for whatever reason, either on the ice and I think mentally as well, Carolina's not fit to beat the Florida Panthers right now.
Do you think you have to feel better about things if you're the Maple Leafs? You had them down 2-0, and then Stolarz got hurt.
Yeah, well, why would you feel better about losing the series when you're up 2-0? I don't feel any better about losing. Who cares who you lose to? You should have won that series, and you played terrible at games 5 and 7 at home.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're feeling any better, Pauly. I think that you got to go back if you're living in Toronto and say, how can you put together a team more capable? And they were close, Mitch. Pauly, you're right.
Yeah.
But they weren't close enough. It's as simple as that. And they haven't been close since 1967. They haven't won the Cup. So, but I wouldn't feel any better if I was a Leafs fan.
I think, DB, to Paulie's point, though, would they reconsider maybe not breaking it up? Because that was all the talk, right? If they don't get out of this round, bye-bye to the core four. Guys are going to go out and they're going to get rid of them and they're going to look completely different. Would they actually consider maybe changing their minds on that?
I don't think so. For both guys, like the two major free agents are Mitchell Marner and John Tavares. Now, John Tavares is coming off a big contract. You could probably get him for $5 million a year. Mitch Marner is going to go for $13 or $14 million. And I tell you, Mitch, top-heavy teams don't win. Like Edmonton's doing so well because their depth guys are scoring.
Right.
So if I could get two players for one at $14 million for Mitch Marner, I'd go do it. Maybe try to steal Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers. That would make you better. So I don't think you're going to run it back with the same team. It hasn't worked. And because of the price for Mitchell Marner in free agency is going to be prohibitive.
What do you think happens tonight? They've scored 5+ goals, 4 in a row. We know about Carolina losing 15 in a row in the conference finals. You go back to Anderson. Do you see the same thing happening as what happened in the first 3?
The only shot I'll give Carolina is that 3 the Florida Panthers are out tonight, right? So that due to injuries, or they're just resting guys. I mean, Paul Maurice looks like he's so confident. He's sitting guys. Yeah. But if this was a Game 7, would they be playing? Yep. But they're not playing tonight. So I think he's looking ahead towards the Edmonton series. He sees the depth that Edmonton has. He's going to have to match it. So I think these guys that are sitting out tonight, I think the biggest loss is Sam Reinhart. Right. Slight edge to Carolina here because it is their Game 7, basically. Their season's over, and the injury factor for Florida. But again, pound for pound, the Panthers are a better team. I expect a sweep, and then the Panthers get some well-needed time off before they start the Cup final.
Yeah. Would you rather bet the over again tonight in this series or take a flyer on like plus 150 on Carolina? It sounds to me like you want nothing to do with the Hurricanes.
I would take the over, Mitch. I would, because I think going back to Freddie Anderson, again, it's early in the game. We'll see what happens in the first 10 minutes, right? Maybe double down on the over if it's 1-0 or 2-0 after 10, right? So I think that's the key. So I just don't have faith in this team because, Mitch, you can't be this good and be that bad in the conference final. It defies description. So you would think on a trend basis, go away from the Panthers because they eventually have to lose a game or the other team has to win a game. I just don't have faith because of the way they're playing. They're getting dominated. They're not getting a lot of sniffs. They're not getting a lot of high danger chances. And that's a credit to the team and to Paul Maurice's coaching.
Brindamore said they're just bullying us and pushing us around and we're not fighting back.
Yeah, they're a soft
team. Incredible.
They're a small team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You said it.
It's
All
not
right.
for Pauly, it's not for everybody. Not everybody has this team. That's why the Panthers are so good because they can bully you and they have talent as well.
Okay. Was the fluke the third period of Game 1? What happened? Power play by Dallas, and now that's it, and Edmonton's going to take them out? How do you see that Game 4 and the rest of that series playing out?
Yeah, if the Stars were a cat, Pauly, they'd have they're on their 8.5 odds. Because remember, third period against Colorado, down 2-0, that miraculous comeback. They played okay against Winnipeg, and they've played 9 periods in the series between the Stars and Oilers. The Stars have been better in 2 series and in 2 periods, and 1 period, Skinner stood on his head. So they're not the better team. And for some reason, except for Rantanen, nobody's scoring on this team, Pauly. It's stunning how bad the offense is. So I had the Oilers in 6 in the series coming in. I feel great about that pick. Maybe Dallas gets the game at home at Game 5. Game 4, no. I'm playing the Oilers because of the way they dominated that game. And yes, Skinner was better. And now they say they're not going to get back Ekholm, who's their best defenseman, really. Everything's clicking. And here's the real dangerous, thing for the Stars. Connor McDavid got off the last game. He hasn't dominated. And people are saying he only scored 3 goals so far in the playoffs. So what did he do? 2 big goals in Game 3. He led the way. I think that's the scary part now. If Connor McDavid starts being like Connor McDavid in a dominant fashion, then the Stars might go home in 5.
By the way, that second goal that he scored yesterday was absolutely beautiful. Yep. One of the only things, only human beings on the planet that could actually pull that off. Who would you like at a rematch, by the way, if in fact we're going to get Edmonton in Florida?
I'd go with Edmonton at this point. I think there's not much separate. Remember, last year it came down to 1 goal, basically. It was a 2-1 game in Game 7. So I think the little extra motivation, and I think the Edmonton Oilers are a better team. I think last year they were more top-heavy because Leon and Connor really led the way this year. And like I said, this run hasn't been about Connor and Leon, Mitch. It's been about Corey Perry and Evander Kane, who hadn't played a regular season game, and guys like John Klingberg, who some people I think thought he retired, right? And Connor Brown, who got injured, which was a bad loss. That's why this team, I would favor this team, because they're getting it from all different facets, from all three or four lines. They're rolling 4 lines. They have 6 pairs, and the goaltender finally woke up. Okay. Yeah, I would pick Edmonton over Florida right now in the Cup final.
Okay, so if they do win it, and based on everything that you just said, and parlayed with the beautiful play here of Skinner down the stretch, I mean, he almost had his 4th shutout in 5 games yesterday, and I thought he was awesome yesterday, only allowing 1 goal. That third period, like Pauly talked about, I don't think that was his fault. The team lost their minds, and it was power play after power play. I have him 300-1 for the Conn Smythe. Does he have any? I get it. It's the whole playoffs. It's the award for the entire playoffs. Yeah. And he missed quite a few games. Does he have any chance whatsoever?
If he has 4 shutouts in a Cup final, sure. Other than that, Mitch, no. Because it is the whole playoffs. Yeah. Mitch, he wasn't going to play.
I know.
If Pickard didn't get hurt, he would still be playing. I can't do, and it's going to be, look, voters vote for it, right? The writers vote for it. And I think emotionally you would give it to Connor anyway, because especially if he's starting to wake up now. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Draisaitl is Draisaitl's playing defense now. So there's 2 guys who are going to win a Conn Smythe. It's going to be Bobrovsky if it's Florida. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Connor McDavid if it's Edmonton. So you can lay that money down. That's a nice price, and it looks really sexy because his numbers look good. It's a whole playoff. So I couldn't give it to Stuart Skinner if I was a voter, short of that performance in a Cup final.
All right. L.A. Kings fans should be furious, though, right? What happened?
Yeah, they missed an opportunity. Yep.
They had them.
They needed one of those games in Edmonton in 3 and 4, and they would have advanced.
Oh, they had them?
And here's the thing, Pauly. There's 2 third-place teams that are going to be in the Cup final. That's what they were in the regular season. So people say, reseeding. Why? Like, so you want the top seeds to get in? No. It still would be, I think, a 6 or 7 game series. I'd give the edge to Edmonton right now because of their depth, and Skinner, like I said, has woken up.
All right.
Good job.
You're going to be on the coverage, by the way, for the Cup final?
Yes.
Is that correct? All the games on SiriusXM, the NHL? Okay.
Yeah, me and Dave Pagnotta are going to do pregame for SiriusXM, all games, and I assume Edmonton and Florida. It's a little bit of a switch because Edmonton will have home ice advantage, so possibly 3 trips to Edmonton, which is good or bad, depending on how you think about Edmonton.
Oh, we know that you love it. You were there getting your mail during the pandemic.
Oh, that's right.
All right.
I spent a month there for a week once.
That's exactly right. He's also the fourthperiod.com as well. Dennis, great catching up. Thanks for the time.
Always great being on Follow the Money, boys. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Be good.
Start your day with an edge and a game plan. VSiN Daily Morning Bets Podcast. Your first look at the day's betting lines, sharp action, and market movement. In just 15 minutes, you'll get everything you need to know to make smart wagers and stay ahead of the line moves all before your coffee's gone in the morning. Listen to the VSiN Daily Morning Bets Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or get on the VSiN Watch app. VSiN Daily Morning Bets Podcast.
So a kid can dream. This is like Dumb and Dumber, right? You're telling me I have a chance. All I need is 4 shutouts from Skinner in the Cup final. And I can win. That can happen, right? I kind of like my odds.
Just win 2-1 with a shutout. Once 2-1, 2-0.
If they win games like yesterday, they allowed 35 shots, whatever it was, and he allowed 1 goal, and I thought the guy was awesome.
Yep.
Throwing a shutout here, shutout there, and McDavid's not like the man, scoring 2 goals every game. They spread it out like they have been. Got some life there. Got a little bit of a pulse.
Big move on Bob. Bob's been excellent.
He's been very good.
Big move.
Yeah. Do you concur? Next here on Follow the Money, it's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Great moments in history have begun with a question.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
And what kind of hair product does Mitch Moss use? But Follow the Money wants to know.
Do you concur? Concur with what, sir? Do you concur?
All right, we just talked about it with Dennis Bernstein. A Edmonton, Florida Stanley Cup final is sexy. Do you concur?
100% I concur. Now, I don't know if that's going to be like the common thought across the country and Canada, because it's a rematch, and Florida's now going to be there 3 times in a row, assuming they win this game or they win the series overall. But the way it played out last year, you got to say it was a hell of a series.
Crazy.
And, I mean, I like it when the best in the world eventually break through. Like we saw, Giannis do it a couple of years ago in the NBA. Joker finally did it. This year could be SGA and the Thunder. But I want to see McDavid win his first ring. So to me, I think it's going to be awesome.
Panthers trying to go back-to-back. Edmonton trying to end the Canadian drought, 93. And 7-game series, which is awesome, Game 7 last year. It was a weird series. Right?
It was, yeah.
3-0 Florida. Edmonton wins Game 4 and avoids the sweep 8-1. Then they led 4-1 in Florida late second. They needed the empty net goal from McDavid to ice it. Then they blow them out at home 5-1, and they lose Game 7 2-1. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. You thought maybe they were the fifth team to ever pull that off all time. Kirk Cousins is a good plan B for the Steelers. They're talking about it. Do you concur? Still waiting on Rodgers.
Well, I'm only going to assume that Rodgers is going to end up there.
They told some guy with a podcast or something, some rapper, I don't know who he was, that there's this certain team that goes to Chicago this year. That would be Pittsburgh.
Sure, that would be them.
And you ruled out the Saints already.
Yeah, so I think he's going to end up in Pittsburgh, but let's just say that something happens, derails that whole idea, and he does in fact not wherever. He's not playing, retires, that's it. Then I guess I would take a shot on Kirk Cousins. I guess why not? Because
he was hurt last year. He was,
and you can't be serious about Mason Rudolph being, and it's a tough schedule again down the stretch for that team. I don't think the defense is as good as it has been in recent years. By the way, in recent years, it feels like the Pittsburgh defense has been good our entire lives, which it probably has for the most part.
Yeah.
But, why not? I'd take him, the unknown of Kirk Cousins, over Mason Rudolph. Got to do it.
I'm going to tie these two together. Writing in Hollywood is lacking creativity and is weak right now. Do you concur? I'm talking about all the streaming shows and so many of these, because everyone's got a big Apple, Hulu, Netflix, whatever, Amazon. All these shows seem to start off with a bang, and then they peter out at the end. Mobland, Your Friends and Neighbors.
Oh, that same thing with that?
Yeah. They start off strong, and it's like, the problem you have is they can't do 8 or 10 episodes. It's like too much for them, and they don't have enough material. Like Game of Thrones is easy. You had like 30 characters involved in that thing.
Well, and you had books that were 900 pages.
That too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. But it seems with ideas with movies and 6, 7, 8 sequels, whatever, and also with all these streaming shows, that they're having once you get to like episode 5 or 6, they're running out of material and storylines.
Okay, I got to tell you, I'd be all in for a series that's either 4 or 6 episodes. I'm in if you're going to make it an hour. Also, there's nothing wrong to me with half-hour episodes. In fact, when I'm looking for a new show, tough with a 1-year-old, but when I'm looking for a new show, if every episode says an hour, I'm like probably not going to be able to do that one. So I gravitate towards the ones that are 30 minutes. I love those, especially if they're good. But I also think that we're getting a little watered down here because of all of these, apps that you just talked about. And how much money they're spending. They're like, we got to come up with new content, man. We got to have something fresh because Netflix is going to do that and Hulu's going to do this. So Prime needs to answer with this. And it's too much. I miss the days of having, I'll sound like an old man right now. I don't care. I miss the days of having that show on a Sunday night where it's like, I can't wait. And you're talking about it all week with your friends. What the hell's going to happen? The quality of the shows, amazing. I still think the shows are pretty good for the most part. But I don't like the idea of being able to binge and get done with a show that's 10 episodes long in 11 hours. I just don't like that.
Mm-hmm. You did
too much, I think.
You did a good job Friday. You held it in. The level of disappointment with the new Mission Impossible movie is equivalent to your kid/family or sports team letting you down. Do you concur?
Okay, explain this though first. Why you're so disappointed in it?
It's an okay movie, but from Mission Impossible, you're going in. I was so disappointed Saturday after watching it because it's not your typical Mission Impossible movie. And there was one point because 4, 5, 6, and 7 are so good, and they get better and better and better. And that just again, like I said, there was no time to get up and go to the bathroom where it's not. You're thinking, wow, it's almost over. At the one point, I'm thinking, okay, move this along. Let's go. Just between some of the stuff that's just like, get out of here. That's outrageous. And little bit corny, too, with the acting, what happened
Okay.
at the end. I don't want to ruin it, but boy, was I disappointed with what I saw Saturday.
So I stand by everything I said on Friday, by the way, about the show, where I thought the underwater scene was fantastic. Some of the shots that they had when Cruz is like far away, like underwater, looked fantastic to me. And the guy does deliver, like going to that extent with that, and also the airplane scene. But overall, I was disappointed. I didn't want to come in on Friday morning, the opening weekend, and say, hey guys, don't go to the movie, it absolutely stinks. That, I think, would have been completely unfair. I would say it's probably the second or the third worst out of the entire franchise. Mm-hmm. And to end it on this note, which I think they're going to.
That's the big takeaway.
That's a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Everything, and for a 2-hour and 40-plus minute movie, I thought they rushed some of the stuff that was pretty important in it as well. Again, I don't want to give any of the scenes away or anything like that, but, and it's called Mission Impossible. Completely far-fetched and more unbelievable like truly unbelievable than any other movie in this franchise and maybe beyond I've ever seen.
There was one good review, I thought, that said a big problem is you don't have a villain. The villain with a person. The villain is AI.
Okay.
Which kind of hurts it.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And also, like, some of the characters that they got rid of over the years.
With no explanation.
Came back to haunt.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I know Rebecca Ferguson just said she wanted to be busy and keep working. She would have to stick around for like a year and wait and go, now shoot, now wait. And then remember he broke his ankle? I didn't
know that part about Ferguson. She would have been absolutely perfect in this last one.
Yep. Tim Bontemps, ESPN, is correct. He wants the Celtics to trade the other 4 starters and blow it up. Do you concur?
All of them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Tatum isn't there, so yeah.
That would be pretty wild, actually.
Yeah, he made a good case.
To the kind of team that you could put together around it then?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Build it around Tatum and get rid of the Brown contract and get rid of these other bad deals, Holiday, Porzingis, and then get some picks and assets, and you don't want to have a $500 million payroll. Wow. Build it around Tatum.
It's a pretty fascinating idea, wild idea, but I'm in. I like Armageddon. I like chaos like that. I tell you, the one player I would not get rid of is Derek White, for sure. I'd hang on to him. But if you're going to talk about just, okay, we're going to... But you'd also have to be careful of getting too many guys in return. Because for Jaylen Brown, you could probably get 3 good players in return for that guy.
Houston's a good destination.
Right, or 2 good players and a pick.
Not bad, yeah.
Right, so suddenly you might go from a team, what are you going to have? You're going to play 14 guys? What can you get for Porzingis? At this point, actually, with the injuries, I don't... So...
Nah, nothing from him.
I'd be willing to listen to that idea for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. What a blow. I never thought I would walk out of that theater disappointed.
I did.
I couldn't believe it.
I prepared myself to be disappointed.
Oh.
Something about the trailer and the previews kind of told me, I'm not so sure about this one. Again, yeah. I would go back and watch it in the theater just for the underwater scene, I should say. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's just me.
It was also hyped up and it looked great, but it took a long time, and the airplane scene too.
Oh God, it
would
not end.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments. Damn it, that's disappointing. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad.
I will say, part 6 is as close to the perfect action movie you're ever going to be able to make.
Yes.
And they were never if the series would have ended on part 6 somehow, they would have figured it out. They would have walked away throwing a perfect game.
Yeah, I know. Because that's what I did going in. I watched 4, 5, 6, and 7 in a row, and I go, okay, here we go.
Well, then you're going to be disappointed because those were so good overall.
Most expensive movie ever made. Son of a gun. Take your betting to the next level with First Bet, whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream, or Saratoga. First Bet puts the action to your fingertips. Sign up now, firstbet.com, promo code VSIN200. Get a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today. Firstbet.com.
All right, it's Follow the Money here on VSIN, the sports betting network. So a lot of sports going on, sports betting events as well here now that we're in late May, including the College World Series. The bracket came out earlier today. We'll talk about it from a betting perspective with VSiN contributor Aaron Moore next here on Follow the Money.